Hi everyone, today I shall discuss about the zonal characteristic of the vertebra, which is very important during examination. Not only that, also the cervical vertebra. Now we know that the vertebra in the adult body, that is 26 in number, out of which there is 7 cervical vertebra, there are 12 thoracic vertebra, and you will see there are 5 lumbar vertebrae, and next one the 5 sacral vertebrae fuse and to form the sacrum, and lower to the sacrum there is the coccyx. So altogether there is 26 vertebrae, and in between the vertebrae there lies a disc. You will see this is known as the intervertebral disc, and disc it acts as a cushion, and also it forms the secondary cartilaginous joint with this disc, which is made up of the fibrocartilage, and within the fibrocartilage you will see there is peripheral part which is known as the annulus fibrosus, and a central part which is known as nucleus pulposus. And when a person fall down, or in case of disc desiccation in the old, there is nucleus pulposus coming out and it will pressure over the spinal cord and there is the root pain. So now come to the cervical vertebra. There are the zonal characteristic feature of the cervical vertebra is that this is the presence of foramen transversorium. You will see in the transverse process there is a foramen which is known as the foramen transversorium. The zonal characteristic of the thoracic vertebra, you will see the body is heart-shaped. The transverse diameter and the anteroposterior diameter will be equal in size, and the body is connected to a arch which is known as the lamina or vertebral arch by means of a two-stalk, and this is known as the pedicle. So here you will see the body is the zonal characteristic feature of the thoracic region is that presence of facet in the body, the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body, and in the upper 10 vertebra there is the presence of facet on the transverse process. So this is the facet is the zonal characteristic feature of the thoracic vertebra. Now the lumbar vertebra, you see the lumbar vertebra, this is very broad body and posteriorly there is a bean-shaped appearance or kidney-shaped appearance, and you will see the other parts, the spinous process is single. But in the thoracic, in the cervical vertebra, you will see there are typical cervical vertebra which bears the common features, and there are atypical cervical vertebra which does not have got the common feature. The atypical one is the first, which is known as the atlas, because you see it supports the globe of the head. This is the cervical vertebra together, and this is the foramen transversorium. You will see, you will look at this foramen transversorium, the vertebral artery passes through the foramen transversorium, and this is the second part of the vertebral artery. Next is the third part of the vertebral artery which crosses the first cervical vertebra, which is known as the atlas, and then it enters through the foramen magnum into the interior of the cranium. So you will see the typical cervical vertebrae has got a small body whose transverse diameter is greater than the anteroposterior diameter, and there is upwardly projecting lip and this is known as the neurocentral lip, and the transverse process is perforated by this foramen and the foramen transversarium, and which divides the transverse process into anterior tubercle, a posterior tubercle, and in between this connection is known as the costotransverse bar. This one is the costotransverse bar. Now pedicle, it is directed backwards and laterally, and so that, and pedicle is situated in the middle of the body. So you will see the vertebral foramen, this one is known as the vertebral foramen, this is triangular in shape, and here the spinal cord, there is enlargement, and that is known as the cervical dilatation of the spinal cord. Now it has got the, as the pedicle is directed down backwards and laterally, the superficial part of the pedicle is known as the vertebral notch, the superior vertebral notch, and inferior to that there is the inferior vertebral notch, which is more or less equal in size. And if you will see, there is the between the two pedicles there is a foramen which is known as the intervertebral foramen, and through this foramen there is passing of the corresponding spinal nerve. In case of this cervical vertebra, you will get the 8th cervical nerve. So one is above the first cervical and another is below. So in this way the nerves come out through the intervertebral foramen. So this is the intervertebral foramen, you will see. Next you will see that this posterior surface of the body will look this type. You will see it is perforated, and this perforation is by the basivertebral vein. Here the articular processes, the 4 in number, in every region 4 in number the articular processes, but in cervical region it forms an articular pillar because it transmits the weight. When somebody taken particularly the heavy weight in their head, particularly the vendors, this weight is not only transmitted to the body but also transmitted to the lower part by means of this articular pillar. Next, the lamina is very thin, you will see, and there is the spinous process which is small and that is bifurcated. You will see here the small bifurcated spine everywhere. Now you look at this is the typical thoracic, typical cervical vertebra. Now the first one is the atypical. Why it is atypical? You will see the first one, there is no body. In spite, the body is represented by the tubercle, which is known as the anterior tubercle. Behind the anterior tubercle, there is the anterior arch of the atlas, and the posterior arch, it is long, and you will see over the posterior arch there is a groove, and this groove lodges not only the artery, the vertebral artery, but also you see the vertebral artery here, and I will show you, this is the vertebral artery, and this vertebral artery bends and it ultimately enters to the foramen magnum. So this is how the vertebral artery on two sides unite and form the basilar artery. So the vertebral artery on the two sides, they unite and form the basilar artery, we will see. Next, the superior articular facet is kidney shaped, which holds the condyle of the occipital bone. And there are movements, the atlanto-occipital joint, the movement is, there is the flexion, extension, moving backwards and side to side movement. So this is the first cervical vertebra. The posteriorly there is no spine, which is represented here by the tubercle. You will see here. So this finishes the first cervical vertebra. The second cervical vertebra, you will see here, the second cervical vertebra, the body of the first unites with the second and form a projected portion which is known as odontoid process or dens. Now, this odontoid process, there is a tip, and in this small tip a ligament is attached, that is very small ligament, which is known as the alar ligament. So there is the attachment of the alar ligament on two sides, and in the middle there is attachment of the apical ligament. So this apical ligament, it represents the remnant of the notochord. So there is attachment of the apical ligament, and on both sides there is attachment of the alar ligament or the check ligament. Why there is necessity of the check ligament in this region? Because this odontoid process form a pivot joint. That means the movement is possible. That means rotational movement. So there must be a check in the rotational movement. One can move the cervical vertebrae. So the check ligament is required, because when we move the side of the head, there is not too much of rotation. The head will not go back like the puppet. So this is about the second cervical vertebra, which is the atypical one. And you will see this cervical vertebra anteriorly gives attachment to a ligament. You will see here the blue color. This is known as anterior longitudinal ligament. And here, when you flex your head, you will see that there is another ligament you can feel at the nape of the neck, and this ligament is very tough, and that is known as the ligamentum nuchae. So then this is the atypical vertebra.